Foglio, right?
Hmm.
Okay. Lana is actually someone that is working here with us. How long you been here for now, Lana?
Since late August.
Late
Around
August,
then,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. And you work. You actually going to school to what is your major exactly?
Yep. So I'm at Loyola University Chicago, and I'm a creative ad major. So that has a big focus on design, copywriting, and then I've kind of branched out into strategy as well.
Okay, okay. That's actually one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on the show so we can talk a little bit about this.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, there's no way around it. Internet and digital marketing, you name it. Well, strategies, whatever the case may be, is where we are now, right?
Yes, 100%.
For like any, if you're not with it, then you're gonna be left behind, right?
Yes, exactly. Like, you see all those photos of people back in the olden days with their newspapers, in the barber shop looking at everything. Now everyone has their phones. The phones are what's important. Everyone's on social media, digital constantly.
Right. And this is a way of like, I guess, with the whole pandemic and what happened with COVID-19, I feel like it just accelerated to something that we were gonna hit down the road anyway, right? Because
Yeah.
if you look at, like, I was watching this video the other day, and this guy was talking about like digital marketing and branding and all the good stuff. He's like, if the way things are going with the iPhone like 25, for example, you're gonna be able to like drop like maybe like some blood in there, and it will tell you if you have like high sugar or whatever the
Honestly.
case may be. Like it's just amazing, right? It's
Hmm.
like the biggest vehicle, and I just think people sometimes they misunderstand the concept of that. For example, like you tell me that you're concentrating strategies for social media, Instagram, but it's not that you're just there all day scrolling your life away. Like, why
Hmm.
don't you explain that a little bit
Yeah,
for
for
us?
sure. So with strategy has a big focus on just strategic positioning of what a brand is going to become. So I absolutely love it because it's kind of like solving a puzzle. So I'm looking at somebody and pretend they are a hair salon, right? And they maybe want to target just females. They want to target people maybe in a more kind of exclusive type area. They want more modern look to them, a girly modern look. They're going to give me all of this kind of information. I'm going to take it in, and then I'm going to strategically position them into a way that I think that they could put their brand out there. So I'm going to basically make up personas for the type of people that will come into their business and how we can target them. I'm going to pretend if the target market is an older demographic, I might suggest to go more onto Facebook instead of something like TikTok or Instagram. And if someone on the other side has a much kind of maybe younger, trendy business, something along the lines of maybe resin art. That's a huge thing that I've been seeing. I maybe would recommend to do a lot of informational type videos on TikTok of them making things. So strategy is really exciting in the way that you can basically strategically position, like I said, a brand into a certain place. You make a persona out of them. You make them into an entity rather than just having them post a ton of different things out. You need to have one consistent message, one consistent strategy, and a lot of businesses will miss the mark on that because they don't understand the importance of it.
Yeah, and well said right there. There are a lot of business out there that they're not. They're still like in their old ways of maybe sending like letters out or knocking on doors or just not really believing in this, the internet. Like, this is the biggest vehicle that you can use. It's kind of like these platforms, for example, like Instagram, for example, like it basically, for like, if you put it like in an knowledge out there, they're like a lot, and they will let you build a house on that lot and charge rent at the same time, but how do they make their money though if it's free? Facebook is, they even have that logo, like it's free and it'll always be right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So with those platforms, let's say with Instagram, right? We're going to be doing consistent scheduled postings, right? So I want a brand to look a certain way. I want people to be really enticed by all the things that we're posting, all the things that we're doing. So on Instagram, the business page, for example, I always recommend for people to, switch their personals to a business page. Make sure you have all of those kind of insights, contact information, etc. But so with that, I'm going to make sure that I'm funneling these customers into sales. So the entire point of posting on social media isn't just to give you a brand image, but it's to convert that idea of your company directly into sales. So I'll have pretend in, the copywriting of a post, all of the features of a product, and then I always make sure at the end to say, click the link in bio to check out our newest products. If I have a business page where I can tag their products, I'm always making sure to tag their products. So we're always giving them a funnel to directly click into a product, directly click into their website. So we're always making sure that it's moving it somewhere. So I always tell clients, your posts need to have a meaning and they need to have strategy. Even if you're talking about your own business and yourself, you're creating that personal connection so that people are comfortable with the brand and people like you. You want to have a likable brand as well, and you want to have a human connection. With COVID especially, the human connections have kind of gone zip, like everyone's just kind of isolated. Right. So now more than ever, that human connection part of a business, even if you're selling keychains, is extremely important.
Right. The whole, like copywriting, for example, if someone is watching this and they don't know what it is, can you elaborate on that a little bit? Like, what does that mean, copywriting?
Yeah, for sure. So copywriting is a very broad term. So it could be anything from writing, Instagram, Facebook captions to writing out a whole ad campaign. And with copywriting, a lot of people don't understand the real nitty-gritty that goes into it. So you have to make sure, like I said before, that your copywriting is leading people into a funnel. So I want to make sure with the first sentence that I'm really catching people's attention. I'm going to say something that's really kind of profound or something that's just really exciting to draw the people in. Maybe I'll ask a question, something like that. Mm-hmm. Then I go, to the meat and potatoes of the product information or whatever I want to say, and then we funnel them into click the link in bio, click this, do this. So with copywriting, it's really strategic writing. So even when you're not doing Instagram captions, when you're writing ads, you want to make sure that with your ads, they're engaging. They basically portray the message that that company wants to have put out there. So copywriting isn't just writing for the heck of it. It's really making sure you know your audience, know your brand, and starting to just write.
So basically, like to get people's attention, you have the product, it's your product, and then the message, and then the public, right?
Yeah.
You want to put something out there that's going to catch their eyes, and so that's copywriting right there, right?
Yep, okay. Definitely just doing really strategic, eye-catching type captions, writing, everything like that.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of these businesses, on a study, like I was actually studying a little bit about this before we came on, businesses spend a lot of money on this, right? Like on copywriting, on digital marketing, on branding, right? I was watching this guy, and he was kind of like explaining the difference in between a strategy on if you're branding yourself, if you're branding your company, or if you're doing like digital marketing, for example. Like he was saying that marketing is kind of like you're giving me your money for me. Actually, I'm giving you money for you to do something with it. That's marketing. Like I put a nice way out there. And branding is like you are begging me to give me your money so I can use it somewhere. Is that kind of like how it goes?
Yeah, so marketing is definitely, getting that product out there. I want to market this product. I want to make sure we're getting sales on this. But then branding is really creating that aura, that whole idea of your company. So when you think of Apple, what do you think? When you think of Microsoft, what do you think? They
Right.
all have branding around themselves that really place them as almost a person. A brand really is like a person. It has a personality, it has a tone to the way that it talks, and that even goes into the copywriting aspect where Apple's captions are going to be a whole lot different than pretend like a clothing brand like Fashion Nova. They're going to be a completely different animal.
Yeah. If someone says just do it, what do you think? Yeah,
Exactly.
right?
And that's all around Nike. They're very strategic with just making sure to push the envelope to make sure that they're standing for what they believe in. And that's a person. You know what I mean? It's not just them selling shoes. Because with Nike, we just see them now much more as an entire brand, a whole person, a whole idea rather than just sales.
And one of the things that I was reading about them is that they invest a lot in like athletes because they know that, you know, the whole branding, like now these really famous athletes are going to be wearing their shirts and whatnot. That's branding right there. It's just I guess like it takes some thinking outside the box a little bit as well, like when you're putting a product out there, right?
Yes, definitely. I mean, with a brand, it's really fun, like I said, to kind of put the puzzle pieces together with it. So, you know, when you're thinking of your posts, if someone else is going to or basically if you find the post boring, somebody else is going to find them boring as well. You want to get excited about putting out your content, and you want to be doing it in a way that it's still converting into sales, whether that's specifically marketing your product, whether it's giving people an idea of your brand, or whether it's establishing a human connection to your brand. Whatever you're putting out, we're always encouraging the brand to be going further, people to be putting more of an identity around your product, around your brand. That's extremely important so that you're just not another company.
Yeah. So what would you say if someone is a startup company, like if someone came to look for you, and then we're actually going to put your information down here. You do consulting for startup companies, even.
Yep. Yeah. Small, medium companies. I do digital consulting. So my main focus is to really help people have a bigger digital footprint out there, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. There are so many different platforms. There are so many different strategies. And I love helping companies figure out how to put the puzzle pieces together to really grow their brand into the direction and the vision that they see.
Yeah. And if you meet up with someone, for example, today, do you have like some data that you can show them, like, you know, this is why this is so important for your company, your sales can go up by this much, and whatever the case may be. So it's not really like, I wouldn't say it would be like a guaranteed, but it would be something that they can look at and be like, okay, maybe we should give this a try.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Especially pretend, you know, a clothing company will come to me who's really targeting, just from what I see, pretend on their Instagram, something like that. They're targeting more like teenage girls. I'm going to find other accounts, other companies who are doing the same. I'm going to see their positioning, their strategy, what's working, what's not. Because with it, you don't want to reinvent the wheel, because you want to see what's out there and you want to see what's working. So a lot of times I'll, you know, bring a whole packet of basically what exactly is working, what suggestions I have for them, and then a big part of meeting with a client is really understanding the vision that they want. So when I first meet with someone, it's a lot like an interview. I want to know their vision. I want to know how they want to be seen, how other people see them right now, their goals, their commitment level, and their platforms that they've been using, they want to use, what works, what doesn't. So it's a lot of back and forth to make sure that everything's working, everything's moving forward.
And going back a little bit to the question, so if I'm like a brand new startup company, like what would be like the first advice that you give, like, you know, get that digital identity per se, right? So this is actually something that I work a lot on my own personal business now as a realtor. You know, it's almost like, you know, a lot of people will be like, oh, but I don't like that much, putting myself out there or this, but it's got to come to like, it's not like what maybe you like, but it's what will work for your company. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
in the beginning, the early stages when I started doing the videos and even this podcast, you know, to get more exposure and get people to really understand what you do, you kind of have to do these things. You know what I mean? Like, for, I always give like this analogy where, like the other day we did a video about inspections, or about we had a credit repair guy here that we learned so much from these people. And it's just like you let's just say you have like this truck full of food, and you only like sharing that with your friends, or here. But once you put yourself out in the camera, or do some videos about what you're doing out there, you can just really catch so many more people with that, right?
Yeah, and with, advice to these startups and people who are first starting out, just do your research. You know what I mean? Like I'm saying, look at the competitors that you have in that market. Just look at social media courses in general. There's so many courses as well on, like, Coursera, I think, has a lot of free courses that you can look up. YouTube is an amazing resource. So when you're first starting out, the research on social media is extremely important. And then I would say that you more want to start thinking about, who am I? What do I want my brand to be like? What persona do I want it to portray? So before you meet with someone, to really solidify all of that, you really want to know what you're going for. You want to know what your competitors have been doing, what you like, what you don't like. That's a huge thing, because when you're going to meet with a consultant as well, you want to make sure that you can tell them, like, hey, I really liked when this brand did this, but I hated this. So that consultant can really narrow down all of your ideas and start working in the way that you want. But it's all about research, and it's all about really just brainstorming, thinking who you want to be portrayed as.
Right. And another question that I had for you is, let's just say someone, they came in, they look for you, and you guide them in the right direction. But this is something that you have to constantly be like, you have to be working on it, like post a couple of times a week. I don't know, like how often you should be doing it. Just really like getting back to people in case, you get messages and this and that. Is that like a service that like someone can do for a company, where like they're managing their social media? And because a lot of these people, they're hands-on themselves on their businesses, and for them to like stop to post a video or do this or do that, maybe it's not, because one thing is, you go out there and you just, now you have a Facebook account, now you have, but if you don't have activity going, right, if there's nothing going on there, basically it's worth nothing, right?
Yeah, and I always say it's really important that if you're starting to put your brand out there, if you're going to do that online presence, you have to go all in, because it's really bad if someone looks up your company and the social page is a mess. You know what I mean? Like, that's something where so many people go to Instagram to, for example, even with hair, dyeing hair, I go on Instagram to check out hairstylists to make sure they're posting things that look good. If someone has something from like years ago only, I'm kind of like, oh, I don't really know how their work looks now. I don't know if I want to work with them. So, basically with all the social media postings, there are always people who do, social media remodeling and management. I've done social media marketing and management for people. And the important thing that I would say for, the client to make sure is to always have content that you have already in a file that you're giving to that social media marketer. Because a social media marketer will take your content and they're going to strategically remake it, twist it, put it in a way that it'll work online. But if you as a client aren't giving the social media marketer videos, photos, content in general to work with, you won't go that far with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you have to be committed in the way that you're at least going to be sending content for them to work with. But with social media marketing and management, I definitely think it's a great investment, because you can get so many leads from social media, as we're talking about. So super important to update that.
I'll give you a prime example. My wife and I were looking for a daycare for my daughter, and that's all my wife was looking at. If they had like any a Instagram account, or we went into their website and they had a video, and videos are like, I'm a huge fan of videos, just because then you can like look at, like, see what's going on, you're learning by seeing, and So the video of the daycare that we just put her on is what want us to bring her there. And then when we got there, we were even more excited because it was a great place. But if it wasn't because of their website or that video, maybe we would have never found them.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
and the same thing happened the other day. um, Everything that we do in our company, we're posting, and we try to help our clients as much as we can, and we're showing that we have results, that we're a good company, that we take care of our clients, and that's a great way of showing, posting and letting them know what we're doing. So a friend of mine that moved back to Brazil about 10 years ago, her parents still live here, and because of the stuff that we put on Facebook, that's where she's like, look, I've been seeing like all the success of you and your company, and looks like you guys do a great job. My parents wants to put their home on the market, can you help them? A lead right there, just from doing this, and that's just one example of multiple that we've had coming from either Facebook or Instagram. Or so it's something that I always said to my team, people that work here, we're always like, this digital marketing is crucial. You have to, if you want to succeed. Not that I'm saying that the other ways you won't, because nothing like getting a handwritten note
I
on the
was
mail
just
or
about to
something like
say
that.
that, yeah.
That absolutely has some value to that. However, the millennials, like everyone that's looking for something these days to buy or whatever, like you can grocery shopping and have it delivered at your door. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it's just,
exactly.
this is huge, 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 huge. So
And
uh,
going
go
off
ahead.
that too, with, you're saying grocery shopping, everything like that online, when you just even look at restaurants as well, with restaurants, if they have a big presence, even though you think, oh, it's just food, like it's just locals coming in, there are so many accounts that if you get a big social media following for your restaurant, for your bar, they get featured on so many different pages. People who are foodies, who have food accounts, who have just kind of accounts that are featuring different places in Connecticut, they'll go in and film your place just because they know that they're going to be able to get views for themselves as well. So it's really important to build yourself up there, because then you'll get even more people seeing
Right.
your stuff from other accounts.
And about that, like views and likes, how does that play? How does that work? Like, so if you have views plus like likes and comments, right? That's how it goes, right? So like, is it like an algorithm that these platforms work with? Like, how do you get that?
Yeah, so with the algorithm, social media, especially like Facebook, they want to make sure that you're not just like a spammer account. You know what I mean? Putting out just kind of like junk, just trying to sell to people. So if you have a lot of interaction on your posts, you have like, I don't know, 50 likes, like little heart things, all that, a ton of comments. That looks really good that people are interacting. And then the biggest part, though, that I find that a ton of people miss is, sure, that's great that people are commenting, but you need to interact back. You need to be liking those comments. You need to be responding back to those comments, because Facebook wants to see that back and
Okay.
forth. So if you're just leaving those comments be, it's a bad situation. And one of the companies I was working for, actually, they had a post that went out and it started to gain a ton of traction. And they had maybe 25 comments on it within the first, 30 minutes. And maybe an hour later, it stayed at about, 25 to 30. I started replying back to all of those comments, as part of my job. Just all different things, not copy and pasting. Don't, ever copy and paste. Make sure they're unique. But that post skyrocketed once I started commenting back to people. Facebook shot that up because they want to see community engagement. That's the whole point of Facebook, really. What they want is community engagement, fostering relationships. And if you're replying back to all those people, that is a very good thing in their eyes. You want to make sure that you're really upping your quality score for that algorithm.
Wow, that's a great point right there. I never thought of that. Like
That's very
sometimes we'll put
important.
stuff online and there's like a lot of comments, and it's got to make sure you comment back, right? So
Yes.
yeah.
Community engagement is one of the biggest things that I stress with my clients, that you really need to make sure you're going back in, talking to people, making sure that they have that human connection, that you actually are seeing their comments. And that's the other thing too, not just for the algorithm, but if people are seeing that you're replying, that you're commenting back, people tend to comment more. If they're just commenting to the wind, why are they going to keep commenting?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They're not going to come back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you want to engage them so that they come back, they feel a connection, and they enjoy commenting on your stuff. You're not just putting back a generic response either. You want to have fun with your social media. That's the whole point of it. You want to have fun with your brand. You want to love your brand, and that will encourage you to post more.
Mm-hmm. Until you get to like 50,000 followers, and now you have to write back to like 50,000 people, you know.
Yeah,
just
obviously, there's a line with it, but even influencers who have, a ton of followers, get a ton of comments, you see them post a lot on their stories saying like, start commenting on my YouTube posts, like comment on my Instagram post, I'm replying to people. And tons of people start commenting because they want to hear back from this influencer. So those influencers also know the importance of, obviously I can't reply back to everyone, but I'm sure gonna try to respond to as many people as possible.
So it's kind of like a game, right?
Yes.
Like the game of it is to, and one of the things that I'm a big believer on putting out material that is actually helpful. You know what I mean? Like, for example, you and I talking about how important it is, because on the internet you can surf the waves or you can drown in it as well. We were just talking about this the other day.
Exactly.
People that are scrolling their lives away, like all day, like 7 hours there. So the internet came to save time, so you can spend more time to, with your fiance, with my wife, and my kids, and like we can. But people get that twisted, and now they're in there looking at other people's portfolios or whatever it's called, and comparing themselves to them. I heard something. This guy was saying that the other day, that like he's seen this picture or and then he saw that person in person, and it was like nothing like it. So sometimes, and I feel bad, like, there's really a lot of people out there comparing themselves to people that don't even look like that. You know what I mean? So I think there's really a fine line there to, use it. It's huge. It's huge for businesses, for, to network.
And going off what you're saying with that too, with, scrolling a ton, you don't want to be following people that don't make you feel good. You know what I mean? So pretend you're following everyone from high school, even the people that bullied you, the people that you have no interest in their lives. You're not rooting for them. You don't have that connection with them. Unfollow those people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Delete it.
Yeah, take those negative people out of your life. Same thing with all these Instagram models. The Instagram models as well, like, unfollow. You know what I mean? Like, it, especially for a girl to be looking at that all the time, like, people need to understand, and many people do, that Instagram is just a highlight reel of someone's life. They're Facetune, they're Photoshop, they're posting the best things that are happening to them. And the way, if you're going to be scrolling on social media, if you're building a brand, follow other brands that are like you. Follow people that you can interact with, that you can partner up with. And that time that you spend scrolling, have you get inspired. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be...
Yes, learning. It's a learning experience, right? Yeah.
Exactly, learning. Follow people who could be mentors. Follow different businesses that you admire and really learn from it. You can completely take these tools and turn them into learning tools, or you can turn it into something where you're just looking at people that you wish you had their life, or you wish you looked like them. And that's the worst way to do it.
So true, so true.
Yeah, and even with your brand as well, talking about, fostering community engagement, when you're scrolling, find like accounts on your Discover page. So go to hashtags that really, resemble your brand, that kind of really connect, and just start going through liking, commenting, interacting. Maybe they'll come back to you and get back to you, comment with you. Maybe they won't, but the whole point is when you're scrolling, you're actively trying to make connections rather than just scrolling through your social media.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to someone that's not really that savvy, computer savvy or anything like that, just they have to hire someone to do this type of work,
I
right?
think that there is definitely two paths. So, you know, if you're running a business and you're extremely busy and you're also not social media savvy, then yes, I definitely think that it would be really smart to hire a social media marketer, social media manager, because they will handle all of that community engagement. They have the knowledge and, you know, you're paying them for their time. But you know, if you have more time, there are also a ton of tools. You know, YouTube. If you look up free social media courses, there are a ton of courses on that kind of stuff. So you can always research to learn, you know, what you need to post out. But the quickest way and the most like nothing is guaranteed, as you said before, on social media. You know, you can't guarantee likes and follows, but you definitely have a better chance when you hire someone that's knowledgeable. So you can go the DIY route or you can go the hiring
Right.
route.
Yeah. And that's important right there, because it's like I use this a lot when I'm talking to someone about maybe putting their house on the market. Is sometimes you know, you hire a professional to cut your hair, to you know, the ladies to do their nails, and you're hiring all these professionals to do these things. And why, you know, why do you want to sell your house on your own? You know what I mean? Like, it's one of the, you know, it's and it kind of goes with the same thing. Why not hire a professional to do this type of work? They're gonna do it right. For example, I was talking to you the other day, and you said there's a specific way of doing boosts,
Oh,
that
yeah.
other than just go in there. If I do it myself, I'm basically the way you said it, I was throwing money away. I didn't know
Yes.
that there was like a, you know, you can go and what do you call that? Like
So basically going in the back end. And this
back
is the
end?
thing
Yeah.
with the back end is that, you know, with boosting the post, boosting post is for people who, you know, don't know how to run Facebook ads because
Mm-hmm.
with Facebook ads, you have to take courses to learn that. You have to have a mentor to learn that. Like there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. You can't really just go into it blindly. You have to do your research. So with boosting of posts, for example, they're just going to put out the most general questions for you when you're doing boost posts. So, you know, are you targeting by location, like male, female, just a few questions and then you're good to go. With the back end, you can look and see like, oh, my ads are going to be shown on an Apple Watch and that has a bad conversion rate. You know what I mean? Like we don't want ads shown on an Apple
Yeah.
Watch. So I would be able to unclick that. But you don't have the power to do that when you boost posts. You don't get to do all of the really intricate details.
So goes back to hiring a professional to do
Yes.
stuff like that, right?
And I feel like, you know, with what you're saying too, a lot of people will get frustrated of saying, you know, this isn't really working, like I'm not getting a lot of likes. That and what they have to kind of realize is that, you know, a lot of people who do the social media marketing, management, it's their full-time job. Like this is what we study. We're studying trends. Even when I'm on social media, I'm not just scrolling, I'm constantly studying what's trending, what's not. I'm taking notes. I'm constantly watching courses. I've been in school, in university for years, specifically studying what works, what doesn't. So people really need to realize that social media isn't just posting images out. Everything has a specific strategy behind it of a way that we're manipulating the algorithm, funneling people. It all has a rhyme and a reason. So it's very important that you either know what you're doing or you hire someone that knows what they're doing.
Yeah. So that's why we brought you in, you know. So I kind of want to do a couple of more runs of talking about social media, talking about like what the digital marketing represents for like us these days. But thank you so much for joining us in the show today. This is a
Oh,
very
thank you.
important topic. It's dear to my heart, and we've been talking about this for a while for the company, and that's one of the reasons why we brought the podcast as well, so we can, you know, give back to the community, teach them on ways to go. Sometimes they can do it themselves. Sometimes they have to hire a professional, whatever the case may be. But you're more than welcome to come to the show whenever you want. This is we've been learning so much from you, and we feel like it was such a good addition to the team. And you too, stay tuned for more information. We're going to be coming around maybe a couple of more times to talk about social media, talk about digital marketing, how important it is for your business. If you're looking to brand or whatever you want to do, we're going to put Lana's information down here in case you want to hire her services. She's amazing at what she does. And thanks again. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.